Welcome to the Digital Manufacturer Podcast, your frontline source for all things digital transformation in manufacturing. I'm your host, Mark Flynn, and I'm here to guide you through the evolving landscape of manufacturing. In each episode, we'll uncover the stories of innovation that are defining the industry, offering insights and strategies that help to drive growth and efficiency. Join us as we speak to thought leaders and visionaries who share their journeys and the lessons they've learned along the way. So let's dive into today's episode and discover what the future holds for the digital manufacturer. Folks, welcome to today's episode of the Digital Manufacturer. So today we're joined by the great Shawn Coultice, Head of Channel Partnerships at Katana Cloud Inventory and hailing from Ontario, Canada. Shawn has been instrumental in helping manufacturing companies and actually quite instrumental in helping Rubik get off the ground as well in the early days. And he really helps companies harness the power of the right technology, not only to succeed and thrive in today's complex market environments, but also to become more data-driven and make the manufacturing process more efficient and effective. At Katana, he focuses on leveraging industry partnerships to enhance services and scale the global customer base with innovative inventory management solutions. Shawn, it's great to have you on today. How's things?
Things are great, Mark. Thanks for the introduction. That sounded nice. So hopefully I live up to it.
Shawn, I wanted to kick off with just a little bit of your background, because I know certainly during the early days when we were getting Rubik up and running, that you were not only instrumental in helping us to grasp the Katana product, but also to grasp some of the manufacturing challenges as whole. So you've been in the manufacturing space for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was lucky enough after graduating from university, I ended up getting a job at a manufacturing plant called Molding and Millwork. And we produce interior doors as well as moldings that go around your interior of your house. And so it was a manufacturer and distributor, and we distributed it to hardware stores all around North America, really. And so it was an awesome opportunity to really understand manufacturing from the raw material mill through to creating and priming the finished product, to storing it, distributing it, and then all the way to the end consumer on the floor, even to the installation, working with some of our major installers. So it was a really foundational piece for me to understand the full sort of life cycle of a product, from the raw material through to the warehousing and distribution of that out to the end consumer. So that really was the foundational piece for me to understand manufacturing, and then also how technology can impact. I remember being on the sales desk. We had like a bullpen essentially. And one of the jobs as a salesperson was, in the morning when I had started there, we'd print off all of our orders on the old sort of scanning, printing out the 100 pick tickets. And so we print out these pick tickets and then we'd rip them manually. And then we would schedule the shop floor. We scheduled the shop floor. We go, okay, that's the most important customer. They go on top of the pile. And then this one's a small order. We'll put that on the bottom of the pile. And that's where we scheduled the shop floor. And if anyone called us up and said, oh, we need that order today or something like that, we'd go out and we'd shuffle the deck. And you really start to understand how these manual processes are super time consuming, but how important they are to actually communicating out to the shop floor. And so then as we actually implemented an ERP system and moved to digital process, I remember removing the printer and we're like, this is crazy. What do we do with our time? All of a sudden we're like, well, we better actually call the customers up, see if they want to order more. So our job of ripping paper turned to, which was really important at the time, because that's how we got the orders out to the shop floor, turned to actually calling the customers and say, hey, we got room on the truck. We'll give you 50% off if you order anything more. Because that truck was just going to ship half full sometimes out to Northern Ontario or whatever the case may be. So that foundational piece really helped me understand manufacturing, and it was really important for me.
I was just going to touch on that because I thought that was a really great story, in that, your firsthand experience of digitizing, which enabled you to do more high value work, so drive more sales within the organization, as opposed to just ripping paper off and putting it on top of a pile. Brilliant insight.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And then I was really fortunate. I remember getting an opportunity with a company called ShopTech. So North American company, the product was E2. Greg Tracy reached out to me, had experience at a manufacturing facility, and ended up working for them and managing sales in Canada for the company, and was there for 7 years. And this is prior to COVID. So we were going on site. Every sale I made was after a shop tour. So I had literally walked thousands of plant floors because I would go through, understand the workflow in the shop, and then I would have to sort of explain how that workflow would actually operate within the software. And the majority of these machine shops and fabrication shops in Ontario and in Northern New York in the US were really more manual. We're even handwritten documents that were going out to the shop floor. And so that really helps build a foundational understanding of seeing, hundreds, thousands of shops and how they operate, what their challenges are, and really where the most impactful areas are, where they can digitize that process and really improve the efficiency through production.
Well, that sounds a lot like we as Rubik are doing today in terms of hitting the shop floor, walking the process, and looking at ways in which modern technology can help to remove those manual processes, give people more time back to focus on higher value activities, but also how simpler systems can promote adoption and engagement from the shop floor in particular. Because one of the challenges that we hear about time and time again when it comes to digital transformation in manufacturing is the solution being deployed or proposed is too complex for my size of operation. I'm not a automotive car maker or a large manufacturing organization. So I wonder if you talk to me a little bit about how Katana goes, some of the ways to solving those challenges, or maybe all the ways of solving those challenges, because I don't know if I ever told you this, but the Katana videos that you did on YouTube, you and the team, actually give me my first understanding of how MRP was supposed to work. So me being a newbie was able to learn material requisition planning from a video, given the simplicity of the Katana system.
That's such an important point that I think often businesses aren't considering ease of use as a functional requirement. So often, especially when I moved into selling enterprise businesses, you would have this huge list of functional requirements. And essentially they said, okay, whatever software had all the functional requirements that we felt we needed to run our business was essentially the one they were going to go for, irrelevant of actually how well they would be able to utilize, implement that solution. And inevitably what we would see, and we see this all the time at Katana, businesses have invested in an enterprise level software solution that maybe is supposed to cover all aspects of the company. And inevitably they end up running half of their business, if not more, on Excel or paper because they can't get the system implemented or their end users to efficiently utilize the solution. And so when we look at it with Katana, we really take the end user in mind. Really simple way to look at it. There's something actually missing in Katana. This was pointed out to me from a partner, Francesco. He's actually out of Italy, a really good partner of ours. And he said, oh, I know Katana is a forward-thinking software solution that's focused on ease of use. And it's actually missing something in the software, and that's a save button. There's no save button in Katana. Everything is real time. So you enter something in, a line item, you receive in a product. There's no process button. There's no save button. And you think of every system that you've worked with in ERP or traditional business software, that's what you would see. But if you think of the sort of end user software more in your personal life, it's not like there's a save button or a process button because that would be inefficient. Why would I have an extra button that I need to click? And often in some systems, you have to hit that button 2 or 3 times to actually have it operate correctly. So we really try and focus on cutting down on clicks and visualization through the solution. You can see that on the sales order screen. I think back to the molding millwork. That was the manufacturing company I used to work at. We'd get these orders in or get a call up, be Home Hardware, which is a local company in Ontario. It's, hey, I need 1,000 feet a quarter round. I got to get it out the door. Can you get it here on time? And so you say, yeah, let me check my system. Okay, we've got this much in stock, but I don't know how much I have on order. let me go out and ask the production supervisor. Inevitably, I'm putting the phone down and I'm going and bugging the production operator to kind of see, hey, do you think we can squeeze 1,000 in? What do you got coming in on the PO? So the only way to really kind of figure out was having a conversation with one or two, maybe three people to actually figure out what's going on, to then say, yeah, we can take the order. And our sales manager was always like, just take the order. We'll ship as much as we can. But in Katana, right on the sales screen, you can pop in that order as a quote or sales order. And visually, you can see green, yellow, or red. Do I have the inventory? Green means go. Yellow means we don't have it in stock today, but we've got a purchase order or manufacturing order in place that will fulfill it, tell you the date that you'll be able to get that by. Or red means you don't have it in stock and you don't have anything that's going to backfill or refill that inventory. So right away, you get that visual cue that gives you an idea of when you can fulfill this order, and you can avoid all those conversations. And it's amazing how such small, impactful areas within the solution that are very clearly communicating to the end user can add so much efficiency to their role. And so that's just an example of how Katana can really help focus on that ease of use, the end user experience, to make the job that much easier for them to utilize the solution.
I love it. To your point, it is so important because the easier you make the solution to use, the more beneficial it's going to be to the end user, and the more often they are going to use it. Not to name names, but I've seen many Microsoft Business Central implementation that is backed up by spreadsheets and manual processing, because everything that you could possibly throw at it. But with that comes a layer of complexity that, if you're not prepared to invest in training and adoption as part of your rollout, which is cost, both in terms of effort and time, you're not going to get the same return. Tell me how Katana speeds up kind of time to value, because you have a quick deployment proposition. We're not talking about 6 to 9 months for a Katana deployment. It's a lot shorter, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The average implementation with Katana is about 58 days. My Canadian accent probably came through there when I said about, but it's 58 days. And we do have actually some customers that are up and running within 2 weeks on the solution. And so when you think of reasons why an implementation typically can be extended, when I'm looking back at other solutions that I've worked with or implemented, often the number one area of challenge is the data. So how do we get the data into the system? And often one interesting aspect is many systems won't allow the end user to import data. The customer or the company or the consultant has to import the data for them. So they have no control or ability to look at the sheets and fill them in. So that's one area that can be a challenge. Also, integrations. So because we have some really strong integrations into things like Shopify, QuickBooks Online, we can really pull in the data from those solutions, the products, the customers, the vendors, all into Katana automatic. So getting that data up into the system. And we're even taking that to the next level. And I've already been testing this out just recently with this AI tool that you can just put in the website. If all of your products are listed on the website, they will automatically be generated with the price, the variance, all into Katana, just with our AI tool going in and reading your products and uploading it in the system. And so we're really taking that utilization of AI to, right now it's looking at websites, but it will be able to look at, it might be a data sheet, it could be an Excel sheet, whatever, it could be even a PDF data. And it will read that, format it, and upload it into Katana. So getting the data into the system is a key aspect. The next is focusing on the workflow. When you think of a business, there are certain aspects that need to take place in order for them to effectively be able to utilize the system. And one of the most important aspects is the process from sales order demand through to purchase orders. So actually purchasing the raw material that's required or the finished goods that are required to fulfill that sales order. And that workflow is very efficient within Katana and easy to do. So because of that connection, people can get value out of Katana very quickly. So they can go in, have their sales orders all connected up through their different sales channels, automatically populated into Katana, create their demand for raw material, and issue those purchase orders out on a daily basis. Whereas previously, they would have had to consolidate, manually figure out what they needed to buy, often just visually walk the floor and say, oh, I'm short on this, I'm short on this. Let's go in. There's our PO, issue it out to my suppliers. And so that is a big area where companies see time to value very quickly within the solution. And then you can build on that. You can get one aspect of the system set up, working properly, and then you can start to build on that. Well, let's start to track jobs on the shop floor. Let's utilize the barcode scanning pick and pack functionality within the solution. Let's start to utilize the forecasting functionality that you can then more efficiently or start to add even more value to your business from the solution. But you don't need to do all at once. You can get up and running, effectively utilize the solution through the integrations, getting your data set up in the system, get your base workflows working, and really start to gain the efficiencies and then add on from there.
I love it. There's a couple of things to unpack there that resonated. So the data piece, and I suppose one of the things that we try and reinforce as part of this podcast are the things that you must do and get right in order to be successful as part of your digital transformation journey. We're beginning to talk a lot about data because it's becoming more and more important that organizations think about their data, think about the way it's modeled, try and simplify it where possible in order to get the best value out of it long term, because it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you're putting difficult, complex data models into your system, they're not going to be maintained. And ultimately, the information you're trying to derive from your system is going to be crap. And one of the things I do love about Katana, we were debating this the other day, is it drives simplicity as part of the implementation. As a software tool, it's kind of resistant to complexity. It's kind of challenging you to think about, right, well, how can we re-engineer our business process or re-engineer our bill of materials so that it is simple. And then once it's loaded into the system, it's simple to use and you get great information out of it. The second piece that you mentioned there is around integrations. And I'm interested to know your opinion on this because a lot of customers that we go speak to, their first initial idea about what system they want an all-for-one system, a all-encompassing ERP, manufacturing execution system, do not want integrations. Whereas your solution bucks the trend. You guys focus heavily on an ecosystem of partners and then integrate with them. So what's the thinking behind that? And what's the kind of benefits that your customers gain from that approach?
Yeah, it's a great point. It's sort of this suite solution versus best of breed approach. And so you have your all-in-one sort of suite where it has all the functionality that you might need and some that you won't need built into the software. And then you have the best of breed approach where solutions are focused on specific business areas that they solve for, likely better than any other solution, including ERP. And a great example of this has been very well adopted and has been for years is CRM solutions. So customer management solutions. You think of Salesforce. We almost immediately inherently think of CRM almost as its own thing. Well, that is a best of breed approach to the market that Salesforce did better than anyone else, better than the all-encompassing ERP business suite solutions. And because it was so much better, it gained worldwide adoption. It is one of the largest software companies in the world today. And so that is the same approach that you're seeing now with inventory management in Katana, with financials, with QuickBooks Online and Xero, with shipping like ShipStation, with e-commerce like Shopify. So you see that across the ecosystem where these best of breed approaches are being adopted more readily. And the reason is it allows the business to scale with the technology that they need at the right point of time. So if I'm a small business, obviously don't need an ERP system that's going to do all this stuff. I need a financial system. I need something to help me sell the stuff, maybe an e-commerce platform. Then you get to a certain point where you say, okay, and I came across a lot of these businesses between 3 to 5 million. All of a sudden they're saying, geez, this is getting pretty hard to manage that inventory of back. And we don't really have our financial system isn't doing a good job of it. They're at that inflection point. Do I need an ERP system? Geez, that could bury a business around 5 million. Well, how about finding the best inventory solution in the market and just how that integrate natively to your financial solution? Well, that seems like a much more feasible, lower risk business decision. So that's the one reason, helping a business scale appropriately with the technology they need at that point in time. The next reason is adoption of technology. So you think of the pace of change of a business today. So a business today can spin up sales or marketing stores that within a week that reaches globally. They can do a Shopify store, Amazon store. They can sell through Etsy, eBay. They have the direct, the point of sale, brick and mortar. All of a sudden, their business can sell through all these different sales channels through technology. Whereas previously, that would have been very difficult to do and only available to large enterprise style businesses. But with that, adoption comes some complexity. So the idea here is that you can adopt technology much more fluidly or flexibly if you are in a best of breed model. If you're in an all-encompassing suite solution, your only opportunity is in that. When you think of like Katana, we are integrating AI into our chatbot. We're now utilizing, we have an AI button I'm testing out where I can say, how much inventory do I have on hand for this item? What is my best selling product and item? And I just ask that to the AI bot and it analyzes all my data and comes up with an answer. It's phenomenal. It's better than any reporting tool you could ever come up with because it's like, what is the question I'm asking? How do you adopt something like that in an all-encompassing ERP system? There's no way the pace of adoption of technology can be kept up with in a suite solution like that versus a best of breed technology. So that's the big thing is like keeping up with technology and adopting technology when it's appropriate for your business, where best of breed technology really outpaces sort of the suite approach.
I love it. And what do you say to people that come back with the objection around, oh, integration is complex and I don't know if it fails who I talk to. Do I talk to Katana or do I talk to QuickBooks? How are you guys solving for that today?
There's a couple of approaches, and I guess it depends on the integration. So when you have a strong native integration, usually your foundational solution is where your biggest asset is being held. So in our case, it most often is the inventory asset. And so that would be the number one sort of support solution that you might go to for a native integration into your financials or something like that. But really, that's where the partner network and Rubrik comes into play. And because that's where the partner adds the value. The hardest challenge about best of breed is it's very difficult for the end business owner to decide what is the optimal tech stack then for my business. What technologies do I need to use that I know are all going to work together seamlessly and I can manage all that? Now, if you're a really technical individual, that is something that was fairly straightforward and you can certainly do. But this is where a partner comes into play that can help identify what are the best technologies that work together in your specific environment, as well as can help support your business across multiple solutions. And that's where I think the partner ecosystem comes into play and find a consultant that can really help your business thrive and scale. And it's now much more common for businesses to outsource jobs that traditionally would have been done internally at a business, where you can kind of see it when you have bookkeeping and accounting. Bookkeeping was really an early on outsourcing business service offering. You're now seeing that fractional CFO. You're seeing that with IT work. You're seeing that now with business systems and even inventory management, whatever the case may be. And so that's where you really start to lean on the partner network or a really solid consultant to help you make those decisions as well as support you through any challenges you run into.
Yeah. And the other thing I tell our customers to consider as well is with the native integrations, they are built and maintained by the product vendors. From a configuration standpoint, it's pretty easy. You click a couple of boxes, you might have to put in a couple of values, but it integrates out of the box. And the difference between the more modern businesses like yourselves that sell software as a subscription versus perpetual upfront license cost is it's in your best interest to maintain a high level of customer success and customer satisfaction because you're operating on a subscription basis and you want to make sure that you maintain all your customers. So it's actually win-win moving to that space or moving to that model because as a vendor, you're incentivized to make sure that you're always delivering the best service, the best satisfaction, and your customers are getting the most value they can out of your solution as possible. It's funny you mentioned about remote work. Actually, we had a guest on a couple of podcasts ago who has recently just implemented Katana or is in the process implementing Katana to plug into her QuickBooks Online operation. And her big driver is that she's based in Dubai. The manufacturing The factory is over here in Ireland. So she wants to be able to see what's going on a day-to-day basis. And she gets that capability from QuickBooks from a financial perspective, but from a production operation and an inventory management, she hasn't been able to get that. But with Katana, she'll be able to see exactly what's going on in the shop floor, millions of miles away in Dubai. So I guess SaaS and cloud-based technologies are really changing the game for manufacturing.
Yeah, absolutely. You would never have thought, I think of my days going on site and visiting these facilities. You would never thought individuals would be able to work at a manufacturing facility and work from home or hybrid type roles. I actually have a friend of mine that implemented Katana not too far from here, Greg Yitman. It was a great customer of mine years ago, and he has a couple of different manufacturing facilities that he runs. And he said, I used to have to be on site 7 a.m. till 5, right? I'm there getting the team going, seeing what's going on, getting the materials ready to go. He's like, now I have some employees at each facility. And he's like, I go in an hour here, an hour there at each facility, but I'm looking and seeing absolutely and have control over absolutely everything. And I know exactly when an employee is less efficient, when they're doing less work, because I see that in the output. Like the data tells me what's actually going on better than my eyes. And so it really is interesting how you do have the ability to work in a remote environment. We even had a customer, really interesting story. I can't remember what they were producing, but through COVID, they couldn't go into the facility. It was becoming inefficient. So they were starting to ship product to different employees. They would track how much time it was taking them. They would assemble the product, and then they would have a truck go around and pick up the items and then ship them out to the end customer. So it was in a smaller town in the US, and they were kind of like, all right, we're not going in. And they were able to track the jobs, understand what they needed to work on, have the drawings for each individual job, all associated right on their tablet that they're working from at home and do the work. And so it's really cool how you can utilize technology today to really do a manufacturing job potentially in a hybrid or work from home environment.
Yeah. And I think for the people that could be listening to the podcast thinking, oh, nobody in my business is going to work from home. I mean, if you think about the challenge in global talent, all industries, but manufacturing and distribution in particular, by enabling these cloud-based, SaaS-based technologies, you broaden your access, your pool of talent that you have access to. You don't need to just be hiring for people that can make it into the office 5 days a week. You could be hiring from Canada or Spain or wherever it might be, wherever the best talent is that you can find and afford. Another thing I would ask you about, Shawn, is you touched on AI there, which is a really big topic. And the example you used was around reporting. And you guys put on a really, really sweet reporting capability maybe 9 months ago, maybe a year ago. And it's a real selling point, right? Because out of the box, you have the ability to see your product margin, your margin by customer, all those great stats. Is there any way you could share some insights into where you might be taking that from the AI perspective?
So where our focus today is on AI, and there are actually a few different, we call them hackathons. And essentially we get anyone in Katana, we're 150 employees, and we'll do 3-day sprint on developing a product around a specific thing or solving a specific problem within the business. So our last hackathon was actually about AI. And the areas where we focused on were getting data into the solution and then some sort of support tool where you could ask questions and it would provide you the information back. So it might be specific to knowledge base, but it also could be to your data from a reporting perspective. The reporting's in Katana, there isn't anything specifically on the roadmap in the near term. And one of the reasons for that is with Katana's accessibility from a data perspective in our API, many businesses are now utilizing a financial solution, an e-commerce solution, and they need a way to tie all that data actually together on one seamless report. And that's where a reporting tool can come in and kind of bring that all together to provide that business owner a holistic view of everything that's going on with the business. And so that's sort of what we're seeing businesses utilize more is like a third-party reporting tool to actually go beyond just what's happening within Katana, but see sort of a holistic picture of the business.
I love it. And what about from an inventory management perspective? And I feel like I need to introduce a safe harbor statement because I might be asking you questions you're not allowed to answer, but like anything covered here is just in the realms of future possibility. But from an inventory management perspective, the challenges that we see most of our customers having is just knowing what and when to order. And I know that Katana already solves for that with its ability to be clear on what you have in stock, what's in your commit, what's in your back order. But do you see a future where when AI is basically watching the seasonality and the trends of orders coming in, looking at what you've got in inventory, looking what's committed, what's going out, and reordering, or at least coming up with that reorder for you?
That's a really great point. So we just released our forecasting tool. And so the forecasting tool today, it basically will look at your historical average sales for an item for the past 6 months on a weekly basis and gives you sort of that trend. It also looks at your current demand, as well as you can edit the forecast. So you can say, oh, we've got a big sales spike coming up, seasonality, whatever the case may be. And I can manually input essentially what I'm expecting to sell. So that's where the forecasting tool is helping you decide how much you need to buy, how much you need to make based on that forecast. Where AI will come in and where we are looking at utilizing it into the future will be things like not only looking at your data, but market data in general. So it'll be like, well, there's a trend on these products are selling more. So the system will make a suggestion on increasing your inventory of this product based on what's happening, even the traffic on your website. Well, we can see the traffic and clicks through to your website or on these types of products. We anticipate that there's going to be an increase in sale on that. We should upload more inventory of those particular items. Clearly, they're drawing attention. And so that's sort of that forward thinking, just in time inventory where it's able to forecast out appropriately what you're planning on selling. Because if there's no traffic in your sales channels to certain items, and you've historically maybe sold those items, but there's a change in it's summer and your winter boots aren't selling anymore, well, do we really need to keep that inventory in stock? And so that can start to almost deplete that inventory just naturally, and then start to bring in the sandals, which are selling more in the summer, for example. So that's the type of things where the AI will actually analyze different areas within your business, trends in the market to help you right size your inventory. So those are future statements that we're certainly looking at how to leverage and utilize any form of technology. But in particular, if you met our CPO, Preet, who's one of our founders, and he was one of the key developers at Skype, he is obsessed with AI and how to utilize it, not only within Katana, but in his personal life. And it is a major focal point for Katana to really start to utilize and incorporate technology into our solution and our customers and even our internal processes as a business. So it's something we're certainly utilizing.
I love it. Like for me, that only serves as a reason to start looking at implementing tools like Katana that are cloud-based, open API orientated, future looking, because to your point, if you have that all in one suite and it's probably deployed in a server somewhere in your estate, you are going to be miles behind anyone else that's on a cloud-based system that is thinking into that realm. So just to recap in terms of what an idea could look like, you have orders coming in from multiple channels that are all connected through to a central inventory management system. And the possibility could be that the AI and the inventory management system is watching the trends change from the individual order channels and then suggesting what should be ordered based on those changes or trends. And like we're talking, that is a matter of months in terms of a capability that could be delivered as opposed to years or decades. That is very, very cool. What else do you guys dream about in terms of future capabilities for manufacturers?
Yeah, it really comes down to the ecosystem, really interestingly. So we're seeing that there's this idea of sort of outsourcing a lot of the manufacturing to really add to efficiency. So Katana as a whole, like we're looking like total blue sky. What is the future of the business? So Katana as a core platform, essentially bringing in, like you said, from all the different sales channels, all your different marketing channels, pulling in your sales orders, and then disseminating those orders to the appropriate manufacturing facility or warehouse locations based on the optimal way that they're going to reach that end consumer. and optimizing the inventory levels at those facilities based on planned forecasts as well as your current demand, and then integrating with all the shipping tools in the market today to then distribute out that product. All of that happening really automatically. So it's coming in and flowing through to those channels, fulfilling those orders. Potentially, you think 5 years from now, robotics in place to actually pull the orders from the shelf. We're literally pulling that order from the sales channel, integrating directly with the robotic order picker, fulfilling the order, shipping it out on ShipStation, and distributing that to a customer directly, and then tying that all into financial solution in real time to keep your balance sheet accurate and in check. So that's really the future state of where businesses are heading today. And sort of the technology is at the forefront of creating the efficiency to be competitive in a global market, which is something that every manufacturer really needs to think about today.
Fascinating stuff. Shawn, you'll have to get me an invite to the next hackathon. That is some really interesting stuff that you guys are dreaming up. Look, I'm conscious of time. Shawn, I want to thank you for your time today. That's been super insightful. If people want to find out more about Katana, it's katanamrp.com online, or feel free to reach out to Rubik. We are an approved Katana partner. Shawn, thank you for your time today. Great to see you again.
Great to see you, Mark. It was a wonderful conversation. Thanks for your questions. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Shawn. Thank you for tuning into The Digital Manufacturer. We hope that today's conversation has provided some food for thought or sparked new ideas that will help you on your digital journey. To learn more about any of these topics discussed in the episode, head over to our website, www.rubiktech.co. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform to help others join in the digital manufacturing movement. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a future episode. The Digital Manufacturer is brought to you by Rubik, where we're not just talking about the future, we're making it happen. On behalf of everyone at Rubik, thank you for listening.